Thank you for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra, and here are the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Stock markets fall for the seventh straight session. Sensex loses nearly 300 points. Nifty loses over 70 points. All sectoral indices except Nifty Bank end in the red. Adani Group stocks remain under pressure as the group loses 34,000 crore rupees in market cap today. Investor wealth to the tune of 12.4 lakh crore rupees has been wiped out in just the last 1 month.
I don't think that any single group makes, carves off the history of this nation.
Veteran banker KV Kamath says there is no loss of confidence in India due to the Adani crisis. Also adds that no single group or company can write the history of a nation. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the Bharti Group had shown interest in buying Paytm's stake, but talks collapsed last month. Sources say that Paytm did not want to give up management control, also did not see a strategic alliance in the payments business. Paytm shares rallied 3% in early trade. Air India MD and CEO Campbell Wilson says that the Air India-Vistara merger is yet to get CCI approval, highlights that the intention is to end up with one full-service airline and one low-cost airline in the group. Campbell says that 6 new A350 planes would join the Air India fleet by year-end, adds that they have committed $400 million for the refurbishment of its wide-body aircraft. Aircraft lessor Carlyle Aviation gets 7.5% stake in SpiceJet after restructuring over $100 million of outstanding dues. SpiceJet board seeks shareholders' approval to raise fresh funds of up to 2,500 crore rupees from qualified institutional buyers. A Delhi court remanded Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia to 5-day CBI custody in an alleged case of corruption in the now scrapped liquor policy case. Almost all opposition parties except the Congress have criticized Sisodia's arrest. Nagaland and Meghalaya go to polls. Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma's NPP and the BJP are fighting solo in Nagaland. Neevu Rio's NDPP and the BJP are contesting the polls in an alliance. Results for all three states, including Tripura, will be announced on the 2nd of March. Ukraine's armed forces say that the Russian offensive along the front line continues as raid sirens go off in Kyiv. The United States warns China of serious consequences if it provides arms to support Russia's invasion. The Kremlin says that Russia is paying a great deal of attention to China's peace plan. Close to 60 people are confirmed to have died after a wooden sailing boat carrying migrants from Turkey to Europe sank near the coast of Italy. Migrants from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia and Iran were on board. Let's start with the market action where Sensex and Nifty declined for the 7th straight session. Sensex lost over 175 points and the Nifty lost over 70 points. Barring Nifty Bank, every sectoral index ended in the red. Mid-caps also fell in tandem with the blue chips. BSE companies saw their market cap erode by 2 lakh crore rupees today. All in all, in the last 7 sessions, investor wealth to the tune of 10 lakh crore rupees has been wiped out. Prashant Nair is here with the market wrap.
For the 8th day in a row, the market was under pressure. The Nifty lost, did not quite end at the low point of the day. There was a significant bounce, but it was under pressure once again. And this, of course, was after the very weak handoff that we got from Wall Street on Friday, especially with the Nasdaq down sharply, dollar up and yields higher as well. Banks are one area which saw recovery. They've been big underperformer all of last week, but they were strong, both the private and the public bank space. I'll get to those specific names in a bit. Sectorally speaking, let's start with what lost. Metals as a pocket lost, IT was down, and autos as a pack was sharply lower as well. As I said, PSU and private banks both were higher. The index itself ending about 0.75% in the green. Nifty losses, starting Adani Enterprises saw a sharp cut. Bajaj Auto, there was a production cut which impacted the name. UPL, Tata Steel, Infosys and Eicher Motors were some of the other names which were down and out. Banks did well, as I said, so ICICI Bank, Kotak Bank and SBI pulled in the other direction as opposed to the other names that I mentioned earlier. The broader markets had it bad. So 3:1, more than 3:1, declines to advances ratio. The market breadth was actually pretty poor. Names like Z lost quite a bit, Emphasis, Mahindra CIE, Uflex, Jindal Saw, Keynes, JK Lakshmi, Sunflag, Mirza International, and so on and so forth. These are the heavy volume-led losses that we had. Gains coming through in Lodha, RHIM, Sanofi, Tube Investments, and a few others as well. But as I said, more down than up in terms of the broader market session, mid-cap, small caps included. I think many will be hoping that after testing the budget day low and closing around it, the market finds some stability. A lot of it, I think, will depend on how much more selling there is. We are likely to see both from locals and the foreign institutional investors. And number two, whether the global setup, which is looking a little wobbly with the dollar marching upwards, stabilizes or not. I think we'll find out when we come back tomorrow morning. Back to you.
All right. Thanks very much, Prashant, for speaking to us. Moving on, the Adani Group stocks remain under pressure. All of the Adani Group stocks, except for Adani Ports, ended the day in the red. Adani Total Gas has lost 82% of its value in a month. Adani Green, Adani Transmission have seen their market cap erode by 75% since the Hindenburg report was released on the 24th of January. The 10 Adani stocks have seen their market cap erode by more than 12.4 lakh crore rupees. Currently, the market cap of the companies stand at 6.8 lakh crore rupees. Meanwhile, a report by Bernstein said that March to September was the real test with regard to debt repayment and refinance for the Adani Group. Vivek Iyer is here with the details. Vivek, what will be the biggest challenge for these group companies now?
Today, Bernstein has come out with a report, and what they're saying is that the key timeline is to watch out for is going to be March to September of 2024, which is going to be the key challenge as far as the group is concerned in terms of the debt repayment schedule that they have. So number one, what's actually happening is a leverage of almost $3 billion taken for the Ambuja acquisition matures in March 2024. The Ambuja warrants, where it requires almost 15,000 crore of fund infusion, that is expiring by April 2024. The Ambuja second tranche of close to $1 billion matures September 2024. Adani Ports, 650 million bond, is actually maturing in July 2024, and this is an unsecured, unsecured development. Adani Green Bond Holding Company. Now, this is very important. $750 million maturing in September 2024. And what Bernstein is saying is that this is going to be the largest challenge, the Adani Green Holding Bond. Now, what they also add is that while Ambuja Cements and Ports business have strong assets, the timing of the maturity as far as Ambuja is concerned, they believe can put a strain as far as growth is concerned for the company, as well as the liquidity plans that they have in store as far as their own capex is concerned.
All right. Thanks, Vivek, for joining us. Veteran banker KV Kamath says there has been no loss of confidence in India due to the Adani crisis. Also adds that no single group or company can write the history of a nation.
What does the current crisis with the Adani Group stocks and the Adani Group mean from an economic point of view?
Yeah, I think, firstly, I don't want to talk about any specific group, Shri. The market is functioning, the banks are functioning. The rest of it is, I do not really want to comment on. I will only say this in a larger context that, my 50 years plus of being in the banking business, 52 years to be precise, I don't think that any single group makes, or carves off the history of this nation. So I have, really speaking, no concern that overall India will continue on its path of progress at the pace we have outlined. That's all I want to say. And I don't see any loss of confidence in India consequent to these.
And you can catch that entire conversation with KV Kamath, chairperson of National Bank for Financing and Infrastructure and Development at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. And big macro data coming tomorrow. The government will release GDP numbers for the third quarter of this fiscal. CNBC-TV18 poll expects GDP to grow by 4.7%. Lata Venkatesh joins us now with all the expectations.
That's right. Our poll says 4.7% for the third quarter. That will compare with 5.4% in the previous third quarter. Now, the RBI's estimate was 4.4. So at 4.7, we should be doing better than what even RBI estimated. Now, the big question will be 4.7, aren't we used to a 6 to 7% growth? Is this weak? No. Actually, 4.7 is a very good number because the previous year's Q3 was very strong. We were coming out of a Delta wave and therefore consumption was strong. Likewise, in 2020 as well, we were coming out of a severe lockdown. So Q3 was very strong. On these strong bases, 4.7 is a good number. As well, if we do 4.7, then we would reach about 40 lakh crore. That will be about a 4.8% growth from Q2. That's strong sequential momentum. So we should be happy about the 4.7% number if we get it. The other point to note is what will be the internal drivers, services. There's a category called trade, hotels, transport, communication and broadcasting. That is expected to grow by 11.2%, and that should grow because the previous 2 quarters, again, services were severely impacted. So this is a rebound and that will do well. The other 2 sectors that will do well will be construction and electricity, gas, all the utilities. That's expected to grow 7 to 8%. What's weak, what will drag will be manufacturing and mining. Manufacturing -2 to 2.2%. That's because of course, high global commodity prices, weak export demand. So that'll be the soft part. Now comes the wild card. All our numbers can go wrong. Why? Because the NSO is going to revise 3 of the previous year's numbers. We are going to get the first revised estimate of FY22, the second revised estimate of FY21, and the third and final revised estimate of FY20. So 3 previous quarters are going to be revised. Once the base changes, you never know what the current rate of growth is going to be. It will take a long while for us to know whether the number is good or bad if the base changes dramatically.
All right. Thank you very much, Lata Venkatesh, for joining us with that report. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive now. Telecom major Bharti Airtel was in talks with Paytm to buy a stake in the company. However, the deal collapsed last month. Sources told CNBC-TV18 that Paytm declined to give up management control to Bharti Airtel. Sources said Paytm also did not see any strategic alliance in payments business due to differences in the business model. A year after completing the takeover of Air India, the airline is in the second phase of its transformation journey. The airline recently placed a big order of 470 aircraft. MD and CEO Campbell Wilson said the company will start getting deliveries with 6 brand new A350s, among the first ones to reach India by year-end. Wilson also said that the Air India-Vistara merger is yet to get CCI approval.
The integration of Air India and Vistara needs to go through a regulatory approval process. There are 3 steps to that process. One is competition clearance. The second is from a DGCA regulatory aviation perspective. And the third is obviously the merger of the 2 companies. We are in the process of the first phase, seeking competition clearance. But in anticipation of this, we are working together with some external parties to work on what other areas of opportunity in an integrated business.
And staying with the aviation sector, sources tell CNBC-TV18 that around 50 planes of Indigo and Go First were grounded due to issues related to its Pratt & Whitney engines. Airlines are now looking at wet leasing options to avoid disruptions. Low-cost airline SpiceJet has given 7.5% of its equity to aircraft lessor Carlyle Aviation after restructuring over $100 million of outstanding dues. The airline will also transfer compulsorily converted debentures of Spice Express to demerge its cargo business into a new company. The airline is also looking to raise 2,500 crore rupees from qualified institutional buyers and has sought shareholders' approval for the same. Retail brand Fab India has pulled the plug on its 4,000 crore rupee initial public offering. In a statement, the company cited current market conditions as the key reason behind the withdrawal. Fab India becomes the largest Indian company to put its Dalal Street plans on hold. Bajaj Auto fell over 5% on reports that the auto major has cut production across its 2-wheeler and 3-wheeler segments by up to 25% across its export-focused units. The company said that the decision was triggered by uncertainties in Nigeria, which is its biggest export market. Bajaj Auto management told CNBC-TV18 that export production had been lower for all 2-wheeler exporters for the last few months. Bengaluru-based electric mobility platform Yulu today launched 2 new electric 2-wheelers. The company, in partnership with Bajaj Auto, announced that the new models Miracle GR and Dex GR offer higher operational efficiencies for both commercial and personal usage. The company is also targeting to produce around 1 lakh electric 2-wheelers by October this year.
We have 15,000 already. By end of March, there will be 25,000. and then we progressively add 7,000 to 8,000 per month. So that has been the plan. And by end of this year, we should have a fleet of 100,000 shared vehicles running on ULI platform. So with these vehicles, I mentioned even our second generation bike, the operational matrices are actually very powerful. Our need for maintaining repair actually has gone down significantly.
This is a very nice natural extension of, like, you know, the shared mobility, the delivery space, the low speed space, etc., which is what I explained is a complementarity. Already been further investments from the first investment, which was made, I think, in November 19. So with every small capital increase, overall 15 is what Amit mentions. So we've been at every stage of capital raise.
The Supreme Court has dismissed a plea seeking to restore names of places changed by invaders. The apex court maintained that the country cannot be made prisoners of its past and history cannot be wished away. The two-judge bench also slammed the petitioners for taking aim at a particular community, observing that the plea will bring alive issues that could keep the country on the boil. A Delhi court remanded Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia to 5-day CBI custody in an alleged case of corruption in the now scrapped liquor policy case. Almost all opposition parties except the Congress have criticized Sisodia's arrest.
इस तरह के शिक्षा मंत्री जो लगातार शिक्षा के लिए विश्व स्तर पे काम कर रहे थे और आज शिक्षा मंत्री को 5 दिन के लिए जो रिमांड लिया गया, लगातार मई से कोऑपरेट कर रहे हैं। कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं मिला जो क्रिमिनल ऑफेंस है, कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं मिला। हाँ, पूछताछ है तो पूछताछ में तो कोऑपरेट कर ही रहे थे, कोर्ट को कोऑपरेट कर रहे थे और लगातार कर रहे थे। फिर भी इस तरह का डिसीजन ये कहीं ना कहीं पॉलिटिकल रणनीति के तहत हो रहा है।
केजरीवाल जी इस बात को तो जवाब दें कि जो कमीशन था वो 2% से 12% क्यों हो गया। ये तो जवाब दें कि 144 करोड़ रुपए वो कहाँ से, वो जो आपने उन लोगों को दे दिए थे जिनसे जो इनको लाइसेंस नहीं मिला था, वो आपने सरकारी खजाने से क्यों दिए। आप ये बताइए कि शराब कंजम्पशन के बढ़ने से, सेल्स को बढ़ने के बावजूद राजस्व दिल्ली का क्यों घटा। और आप ये भी बताइए कि जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स थे उनको रिटेल और थोक करने क्यों दिया। ये सारा की सारा पॉलिसी क्यों नहीं बनाई गई। जब पॉलिसी नहीं बनाई गई तो अपने मित्रों को पहले पॉलिसी क्यों बांट दी गई, और अगर जब जांच होने लगी तो पॉलिसी वापस क्यों ले ली।
Rouse Avenue Court in Delhi has sent Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia to CBI custody for 5 days. Sisodia's lawyers had claimed that he had throughout cooperated in the investigation and there was no need for his custodial interrogation. They had maintained that nothing incriminating was found during the raids which were conducted at his residence and his office. They had also said that the erstwhile Delhi liquor policy was out in the public domain to ensure transparency and questioned whether an investigation agency can question a decision taken by an elected government and duly certified by the Lieutenant Governor. CBI, on the other hand, had maintained that Sisodia was evasive when he was confronted with evidence during questioning and had sought custodial interrogation. CBI had also contended that the profit margin for liquor wholesalers had increased to 12% as per the new policy compared to 5% as per the earlier policy, and the decision was taken to unduly favor private businessmen and had claimed that custodial interrogation was required since many more accused and their role is still under scanner. It remains to be seen what evidence will be presented before the court on the next date of hearing.
You are watching India Business Hour. Voting for assembly elections has concluded in the states of Meghalaya and Nagaland, and the voter turnout in Nagaland was around 82%. Ruling party NDPP and alliance partner BJP are contesting on 40 and 20 seats respectively in Meghalaya. The voter turnout was 74% till 5 p.m. Unlike Nagaland, Chief Minister Conrad Sangma's National People's Party and BJP, who were earlier in alliance, went solo. Results for Nagaland, Meghalaya and Tripura will be announced on the 2nd of March. Ukraine said that the Russian offensive along the front line continues as air raid sirens go off in Kyiv. Ukrainian President Zelensky has fired a top military commander leading the fight in the Donbas region, but gave no reason for the move. The United States has warned China of serious consequences if it provides arms to support Russia's invasion. The Kremlin said that Russia is paying a great deal of attention to China's peace plan. Close to 60 people are confirmed to have died after a wooden sailing boat carrying migrants from Turkey to mainland Europe sank near the coast of Italy. Migrants from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia and Iran were on board. India is ranked 135th among 146 nations on the World Economic Forum's ranking of nations on gender parity. But in the aviation sector, India is clearly bucking the trend, with 15% of pilots being women, which is twice the number of female pilots in the United States. India's youngest airline, the Akasa Group, has a mission to increase women participation in its workforce from 37% to 50%. My colleague Danish Anand visited the Akasa Airlines Training Center to find out more about the company's push towards gender parity.
This industry is extremely welcoming, but there is always a need to prove ourselves. So for all the young and aspiring girls out there, I would like to say, do not let anyone tell you that being a woman, you cannot be a pilot.
Naomi De Silva is a senior captain with Akasa Air. Growing up in Mumbai, Naomi was curious about electronics and gadgets, and her childhood dream was to become a pilot. Today, she has over 6,000 hours of flying experience over 13 years, and she is an inspiration for parents and many young women.
I was operating out of a tier 2 city and I met this lovely elderly gentleman, and he was quite surprised to see me in uniform. He asked me, Beta, are you a pilot? Will you be flying this plane? I politely nodded and told him, yes sir, I'll be your captain for today. He then said, my wife is sitting all the way at the back, but I really want her to come meet you. He walked with his wife, and she was so happy to see me. They couldn't stop showering me with blessings. She mentioned that she had never seen a woman flying a plane before, and that she had a 15-year-old granddaughter and they were saving money for her wedding. But looking at me in uniform, they wanted her to be a pilot as well.
While globally the average number of women pilots is 5%, India already has 15% women pilots in the industry, with the government aiming to have more than 200 airports and at least 1,200 commercial aircraft. The number of women pilots is only set to grow more. Akasa Air, which made its debut just 6 months ago with 17 aircraft, will be inducting at least 50 new planes. For Akasa, gender parity is a key part of their growth strategy, and 37% of companies' workforce comprises of women, and at the senior leadership level, 1/3 of the officials are women.
You have the policies such as the creche that we have for them. We have all our crew that is dropped, picked up, just to create an environment which makes them feel that they will grow equal to their male counterpart. We have promotions that are mostly internal, right? So you'll see a lot of the, generally as a culture, we don't just hire people at every band from the outside. You'd look at your own people growing. I mean, our emphasis is that, at some point, we always have an organization which is 50-50, right? We have an equal workplace for both men and women.
Angel Pradhan and Suroshri were among the first crew members to join Akasa Air, a challenging job that requires patience and empathy.
Who inspired me was my Masi, my mom's sister, who's been a friend to me. My parents were very, very, very supportive to me, and they actually supported me in my decisions. So I became cabin crew then. Akasa core value has taught me to empathize. Always put yourself in their shoes. It could be any reason.
Difficult situations or passengers depends on how you look at things, I would say. So if we can just, might as well talk about our core value of Akasa, which is empathy. One of them being empathy. So if you can look at from their perspective, he might be having a bad day, he might have just been stuck in traffic before coming for the flight, or he might have just been there for long check-in counters. So in that case, so if you can just empathize a bit and try to understand from their perspective, I think things get easier.
Well, this is a very special year for the country as India is chairing the presidency of the G20, and in order to become the second largest economy, India needs to ensure that it fires on all cylinders, and more sectors, more and more companies need to ensure that more women are part of the formal economy. And once India achieves all of this, then there's nothing that can stop India's rapid growth. With video journalist Rajinder Singh, this is Danish Anand for CNBC-TV18.
And keep watching more such stories as part of our campaign Future Female Forward. And before we end, renowned stock market analyst Ashwani Gujral has died at the age of 52. Gujral used to prominently feature on CNBC-TV18 to provide technical analysis and daily market outlook. We at CNBC-TV18 extend our condolences to to Ashwani Gujral's family members and friends as well.